Hey, fancy supporting this great podcast you've heard called Nobody Panic, which is the podcast you're listening to?
If you like, you can make a one-off donation. It can be as little or indeed as much as you like. It can be £1. It could be, say, 1,000.
1,000 million pounds.
If you like.
If you're thinking, how can I do this? I must do this right now. If you go to the show notes on your app, there'll be a little link there and just pop through.
That would be ever so lovely.
We love doing it and we'd like to keep doing it and just have a lovely day, guys. Excitingly, we are doing Nobody Panic live very soon, Saturday, 28th of August. Tessa, are you excited?
I couldn't be more excited. I'm excited to see you in person. I'm excited to see real life people in person. I'm excited to do a live show. I'm excited to be in the Spiegel tent. I'm excited for the whole thing.
I'm thrilled. So please come on down. If you go to underbellyfestival.com, you can snag yourself some hot ticks while they're still available.
We'll be there. We'd love if you were also there. If not, no worries, but also please do come. Saturday, 28th of August in the Spiegel tent. Welcome. Come on in. Set your vibrations. Welcome.
I'm sorry, I think I misjudged the tone from my...
Listen, they're two ends of the same spectrum.
And talking of spectrums, welcome to Nobody Panic. My name is Stevie. My good old friend, co-host Tessa Coates is here.
Hello.
And we do a little how-to each week. Just a little how-to.
Just a little one.
Tiny one.
Oh, little baby teddy one.
Thank you. And this week I'm fascinated by it because this is Tessa's brought it to the table, but whenever Tessa brings something to the table, you know it's worth eating.
That's ever so kind. Thank you. You think, ooh, what's that? But I will try it.
And then you go, oh, delightful,
okay.
actually. How to manifest, which sounds like a woo.
Ooh.
So that's why I did that.
You're completely right. It does sound like that. It is. It's mad. It's mad. Yes, I brought this one to Stevie today to say, please, could we do how to manifest? I've got a lot of things I'd like to say. I've basically become very obsessed with it recently because I follow somebody on Instagram who I've known for many years. She was below me at school, and then she's been through very many iterations of different sorts of fame.
Wow. Is it me?
And it's Stevie. No, as in just as really committed very hard to being famous in lots of different ways. And now is a manifestation coach. You know, she's just had to go at all the fame options and is currently, and I say currently because I've been following this show for 10 years now, the show as in the story of her life. There's no doubt in my mind that we will soon be transitioning into something else, but we're currently into manifesting. And the reason I'm so obsessed with it is I've really been following her of being this stuff is a cult. What you're offering people here is a cult. And I think there's a lot of very dangerous stuff around manifesting. A lot of
And you want to teach that
and I would like to teach
listeners.
the listeners about it. No, I think there's a lot of very dangerous stuff around the sort of for only $99, do you want to learn how to be a millionaire? Pay for this, and it's because obviously everyone's yeah, of course I want to know how to be an overnight millionaire. Of course I want to know how to get love and happiness. Of course I want those things. And then it taps in, I think, to a very vulnerable thing in people. And then they're yeah, I'll pay $99, and now we're in a cult.
Also, the idea of where you can manifest what you want does tap into a very dangerous or unhelpful element to the dark side of that, which is that if you haven't got somewhere, that's because you haven't manifested hard enough.
Right.
Not because you started off at a disadvantage or for the many reasons that you may not have got to where you want to go. And often it's people who've got some success that then go, I manifested it.
I manifested it.
No, we haven't heard from the people that tried to manifest it and didn't halfway. We've only heard from the people who are successful. So that just as a disclaimer.
Yeah, I know. This comes with not even a disclaimer. We come with much discussion about how I think this is real out to lunch madness. But underneath that real cultish, dangerous stuff, I think is something very interesting that I think is sort of helpful and useful.
This is great. And this is the sort of stuff I want to... Yeah. I think, it could be dangerous or a cult, but underneath it, not bad. Before we get into how to manifest, what is the most adult/grown-up thing you've done this week, Tessa?
Mine is that I have just got back this weekend from organising my sister's hen do, and I think it was a triumph.
Yes! Oh, that's so good.
All was okay. The main adult thing for me is that I think and when I say tooting my own horn here, I think people had a nice time, but I crucially was like, it's not an effort to me to be making endless like props. You know, like that part of the or organising the stuff, but I think with the effort.
How many scrolls were involved?
So many scrolls, Stevie. So many scrolls, wax seals, quill work, and like at like 4 a.m. as I was up like doing a thing with like making. Listen, there was a Harry Potter element to it, and as I was signing Dumbledore's signature in green ink, I thought to myself, this is very nice, but do remember it is a hen do, and the main thing that you can bring here is you being fun and a good time, you know, rather than being like, has everyone looked at the scroll? You know, and so
you haven't slept because you've been signing Dumbledore's name,
completely manic. And so what I think I hopefully managed to do, and maybe I don't think anybody who was on the hen do listens to the podcast, but my sister does, and so hopefully she will attest that I managed to provide both scroll work and an easy breezy attitude.
That's amazing. That is such an improvement,
right? I think that's a real
you.
Because I think, and a lot of that is podcast stuff. We've talked about being like, don't go Martha Stewart nuts unless you are capable of also being a hostess and like being fun and not just running around being like, has everyone seen their backpack? You know, have you begun the treasure hunt? You know, and so while I did, there was those aspects. Everyone got a matching Barbie pink backpack for the adventure day, and they got a Love Island water bottle with their name on it. And
so it's like Love Island meets Adventurer meets Harry Potter.
That's correct. That's correct. But yeah, the main thing for me was the the non-neurotic, calm attitude. So that was my adult thing.
I had a similar one. So
you were at my sister's hen do.
I organised your sister's hen do. That's why you were crazy.
That's why I had a good time.
I had friends around, and basically this will date when we have recorded this podcast, but at this point I don't care. Everyone knows sometimes we might record it in advance. Basically, every England game, we had our two friends round, and first time my boyfriend, the Shadow, cooked, then the friend Rose cooked. Then there was like a takeaway situation, and then the last time it was like, it's the final. I was like, I'm going to have to cook because I haven't cooked yet. I'm going to have to cook dinner for everybody. So I was like, right, I will make like a classic English dish. Don't know how to do any of it. Picked the only one that I do know how to do, which is bangers and mash.
Great.
This is the thing. I've only done it for myself. So obviously the moment I was doing it for someone else, I was like, oh my God, what if my mash is lumpy? What if my, I was going to say, what if my pyjamas are uncooked? Okay, what if my pyjamas are uncooked? What if my sausages are uncooked? What if the gravy's weird? Oh, I've got bisto gravy. Do people maybe want me to make actual gravy out of like a chicken bone? It's like, no, do your normal thing. And then also I was like, oh, what sort of mash? Cheese mash, mustard mash? And I was like, buy a pot of mustard, buy some cheese. People can sprinkle it into their own mash and make their own thing. Then
my hands are clenched so tight listening to this story.
Yeah. Then I was it was on a Sunday, so it was like, great, well, I've got literally the day to prepare. So I did, so I made like the mash beforehand. It was like, we could just like, not like hours beforehand, just sort of a little bit beforehand. Just so keep it
on the table.
6 a.m. I've made the mash.
Everything's done.
Stone. And because I had time beforehand, I went and got just a boxed, like one of those make brownies out of a box things. It's like egg and vegetable oil you have to add. I was like, yeah, I've got that. Made brownies.
Fantastic.
Put icing sugar on top of the brownies. Found red food colouring to do the England flag. Red icing. I thought it was squeezy icing. It wasn't. It turned out it was actually dye that you're supposed to put into icing to then do what I did. So it's sort of, the flags all sort of bled, like they were bleeding. And also I had to scrape it off because it tasted disgusting. However, everyone said the actual brownies were very good. And we all had a lovely time, and I wasn't stressed at all. So that was... Thank you.
Yes.
I'm absolutely thrilled with myself. I had to stop myself constantly saying, and I think that's something that we maybe haven't said, constantly saying how shit the thing you've made is, being like, oh, sorry, yes, the sausages are probably like old, like tough leather boots, and
you didn't say
the peas are shit. I did one where I said, I think I've overdone the peas, but I put like lots of butter on them, so maybe you won't notice. And then they're like, oh, it's fine. I was like, yeah, don't say anything more. And then every time I went to say it, I went like, and then just said something else.
Well done, you. It's so important, you know?
You know what's also important?
What's also important?
Manifesting things in your life.
That's so important, Stevie. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, manifesting. It's a thing that I think people are increasingly aware of these days. It's on a lot
Just say it a lot, don't
People
they? Like,
say
manifest it.
You've got to manifest your dreams. There's a lot of sort of Instagram manifesting. There's a lot of TikTok, how to manifest things. The teenagers on TikTok are doing things like the 333 and the 496, where you...
What's that?
Yeah. Well, you write down the 3 things you want to manifest 3 times a day for 33 days. So there's a lot of this, of like all these things that you need to be doing. It's just, it feels very everywhere at the moment. And it feels like there's a lot, and people use a lot of words like vibrations. And that's the point I think people are like, no, thank you. I don't want to be involved. Do you want to begin with your first question?
Well, it wasn't really a question, it was more of a statement. Everyone loves that, don't they?
Yes, they do.
'Cause it feels like a very, and not to sort of, what's the word, gender it, because this is a big sort of stereotype, but it feels very not cis man.
Sure.
It feels very, the same girl that brings out the tarot cards at the party will be saying like, oh, let's manifest something. And also then when I looked it up, it said things like, increase your vibration. And I was like, okay, I'm out.
Right,
But-
that's the point. You're like, what?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what do you want me to like shake. What do you want me to do? But actually, as a thing, it's something that if only the language sounded less insane, everyone could do this. Like it's like the power of positive thinking.
That's the thing. It is so reasonable. Like, okay, so this girl that I follow, firstly, loads of things she says are just like outright lies. She just says things like she has a podcast with like 100 million downloads, and you're like, you haven't even got a podcast. Haven't got, like, step one, you haven't even got a podcast. To her credit, she keeps saying that she is the #1 female motivational speaker in the world under 40. Just a thing that she's been saying for some time.
Right.
Such a bold statement based on nothing.
Is there a league table?
It's just like, I was like, well, all right, I'll be #2 if we're just saying we're things, you know? I'm a motivational speaker. It is interesting of like, just be it until you become it, is basically her thing. Of like, just keep saying shit until it's real. You know?
There is that thing that always, when I was at journalism school, everyone would put on their like Twitter bio, like, and people still do it, like aspiring journalist, aspiring writer. Like, don't
just take the word aspiring away.
Yes, because like make it so.
Make it so. Just say you're a writer.
And then someone will hire you because they'll go like, oh, she's a writer, rather than like, oh, she's an aspiring writer. A friend of mine took it like some time out after completely messing up their GCSEs A-levels, and took like 2 years out, and then suddenly was like, oh, maybe I do want to go to uni. Just lied and said that they'd got all of these grades that they hadn't got. Got in, did amazingly on this course. And so like the boundary between lying and manifesting, very thin.
Very thin.
If I said I got a first from Oxford, literally no one could check. I could just say anything.
Yeah.
Is that manifesting or is that lying? Let's play a game.
That is a lie, because what do you... It depends what you wanted out of that.
Oh, yes. That's a good point. If it's just so, like, people are like, oh, cool.
So, like, that's not a manifestation. Let's backtrack. So, she's written a book, and this book is about the MBS method, or the meditational behavioural synchronicity. Mad. What do all those words mean? Why are you making everything so confusing? However, I have waded through in order to take the only useful things, and I delivered them to you now. Also, I will tell you my 2 manifesting stories. One is the only 2 things I've ever manifested, and not on purpose. I didn't know I was manifesting them. One is when we went to Edinburgh in our first year with Massive Dad. For everybody listening, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is quite a difficult application process if you are new and you've never been before. You might not get into the more prestigious venues, and no one had ever heard of us. We were just some kids, and everyone said, are you going to Edinburgh? And I just kept saying, yes, we're at 6 o'clock in the Jack Dome. And everyone kept saying, oh, wow, I can't believe you got that. And then Liz and Stevie would be like, we haven't even applied. Like, of course we're not at 6 o'clock in the Jack Dome. But I just kept saying, yeah, we're at 6 o'clock in the Jack Dome. And what did we get, Stevie?
6 o'clock in the Below.
Yeah.
And a year later, we got 7:10 in the Jack Dome.
Right?
So
it all came
good.
around. We literally got the thing. I just kept saying it, you know?
Yes,
I just took away the aspiring part that was like, oh, we're hoping to be in the Jack Dome. Our dream is... I just said, we're in the Jack Dome at 6 o'clock.
And the element of that, I think, that's like, you know, you could go like, well, just saying things don't make it happen. Yes, but what happened is that through repeatedly saying what we wanted, we made an extra effort to get that thing because we wanted it. So it wasn't like just kind of like, oh, well, anywhere. Because if you say to yourself, like, for example, oh, I just want sort of anything I can get, really, the scraps, it's fine, then you will, because you won't make that extra effort to go, no, I actually want that. So how do I get that? And of course you might not get that, but you're more likely to get that if you admit to yourself that that's what you want, it's specific, and then you go for it, because then you can start putting which was what we did, we put like an action plan in place to try and get that, because Tessa wouldn't stop telling us.
So we had to be like, okay, I guess our dream is 6 o'clock in the Jack Dome, so how do we go about getting exactly that? And we did. Okay, so it brings us neatly to like the very first thing and the very important thing, and also how I messed up on my second manifestation. I was 6. I had recently seen the film Casper the Friendly Ghost. I was obsessed with Casper, both the human boy and the ghost.
Same.
It was very powerful, and for a certain age group, we were like, well, that's the greatest love I'll ever feel. So it wasn't a manifestation, it was a wish. I said I wished to meet Casper. No further request, I just wanted to meet him. Within the week, I had met Casper.
What?
It was a horse.
Understood.
And that was my very first thing of being like, I see
specific enough.
I see universe. I see what we have to do here.
Summer might be ending, but rest and relaxation are year-round. From cooling mattresses with snow technology to crisp new sheets, Casper's Labor Day sale has everything you need for a restful night's sleep. For a limited time, enjoy 15% off select mattresses, 10% off pillows, sheets, and more with Casper's Labor Day sale. Better bedding makes for a better tomorrow. Available online at casper.com or in a store near you. Go ahead, treat yourself to better sleep. You deserve it. Exclusions apply while supplies last. See casper.com for more details.
Okay, so which brings us to like the very first step on the manifesting process, which is, I think, really important to any area of your life and whatever you're trying to do. This has been broken down neatly by a German academic and an NYU psychology professor, Gabriel Ottegen. Sorry. Gabrielle. Sorry, Gabriel. Gabriel Ottegen, in her book Rethinking Positive Thinking Inside the New Science of Motivation. And her thing is called WOOP, W-O-O-P, which I think is very helpful. So we start with the wish. What is the wish? And this is the point where you have to be so specific. And also, if you're in any way interested in sort of witchcraft or any of those sort of things, when you do a spell or you do a manifestation or you do a wish, you can't just say, I wish for money, because what if the universe gives you the quickest route to money, which is like an inheritance, or you're in an accident and you get paid out a thing, or you get like money in a way that you didn't want. And now you're like, oh, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
So you can't, and that's like, I want to meet Casper. I wish to meet Casper, the friendly ghost, as a ghost or a boy.
And then if you'd have been that specific, that would have happened.
Yeah, if I'd been specific.
So
and that's the cruelty of this, exactly. So it's like, I want to be in Edinburgh. I want to go to the Edinburgh Festival. I want to play at 6 o'clock in the Jack Dome.
And that's the hardest thing to do, because you might think, cool, but for example, I can never, only until recently, can never entertain specific dreams, because for me that makes it more, because of course it's not easy to fail if you just go, using the Edinburgh Fringe example, I'd like to go to the Edinburgh Fringe. Then you end up going in a room that you didn't really want to, or whatever, and then you're like, well, I still did what I wanted to do, I still hit my goal. Whereas if you say 6 o'clock in the Jack Dome or whatever, then if you don't get that, it's like, but we didn't get that. And I'm so scared of setting up for failure that very recently I've found out that I'm unable to daydream, because when I daydream, I think that sets me up for failure. So I'm an extreme example of somebody that really struggles to set very specific goals because they might fail.
And that's why I think it is so important and so helpful, this thing that, like, you've got to be clear about what you want in your life, and you can't just nebulously say, like, oh, success. And you're like, success as what? Like,
I want to be happy. Like, fine. In what way?
Like, what does that mean to you? Like, you can't just, be like, when you said, like, I want to be rich, but like, how rich? How much money is it you need, and for what? What is it you want here? And it's really, really, really hard to do. Like, when I try and be like, okay, specifically, what is it you want? And you sort of play the game of being like, these things will, if you like, okay, the manifestation actually works, I will actually get these things, therefore what is it I'm going to ask the universe for? What is the most important thing in my life? And then you're like, oh, okay, I don't know for sure.
I remember when I was 10, no, younger, 5, I got a little book that had all like little questions in it. So it'd be like, I don't know, what's your favourite colour? And then one was, what would be your 3 wishes? And I only wrote 1 wish down, and it was I would like 10 Dairy Milk chocolate bars. And that's the specificity that we need to go with here.
Right? And that's a lovely dream, Stevie.
I think I've smashed it.
I think you've smashed it. Because you didn't specify that you wanted them all at once. So between now and then, you have had 10 Dairy Milk chocolate bars.
In excess of.
Thank you, universe. Okay, so that's the W of Whoop, the wish. And then if you're like, I'm really struggling with what this is, let's go to O, the first O, which is...
Oh, I've got it.
I've got it. And then, oopsie, and that's the oop at the end. The O is for outcome. So if you are struggling with what your wish is, be like, okay, what is the outcome? If I wish for 10 Dairy Milk chocolates, how will I feel when I get the 10 Dairy Milk chocolates? If
sick.
You're like, it's very sick. Like if it's like, I want this career thing, I want a promotion, and it's like, okay, how will I feel when I get the promotion? And you'll be like, rich, duh. And you're like, okay. And then it's like, maybe validated a bit, and then you start unpacking the stuff, and then you're like, okay, actually there's loads of things to unpack here when I get to the outcome phase of like, why do I want these things? And if it's like a boyfriend or like and then you're like, oh, that's embarrassing, I can't say I wish for a boyfriend. It's like, yes you can. Like if that is your dream, say that that's your dream. And it's like, okay, what is the outcome of having a boyfriend? And then you might be like, duh, it's nice to have a boyfriend. But then if you're like, okay, specifically for me, what is the outcome? And it's like, somebody to hang out with? Like, then it's like, okay, so we're unpacking what it is in your life that you need, And now we pause in the middle of the whooping and we write it down. And this is the part where I was like, no, because you're like, I don't want to write my dreams down because they're embarrassing. I don't want anyone to find them.
What if someone finds them? Yeah, Jesus Christ.
What if someone finds them? Like, can you? And that's when you have to be like, you have to take ownership. And I put another O in there. Ownership. Like you have. You can't just be like, I wish for a boyfriend, because then like an idiot will come along. You've got to be like, specifically, what is it that you are looking for in a partner, and why do you currently feel that is lacking in your life, and what are you looking for? And if it's just like companionship and just someone who's kind and we can hang out, or if it's like, well, everyone else has one, so I want one, you're like, that's not a good enough reason. So then there's so much sort of unpacking that you've got to do at this stage.
It can help you at any stage. It can help you even 4 years down the line when you're like a bit lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help refocus you.
And then here is an important thing about the writing it down. We write it in the present tense. So we write it in the form of like...
I have a boyfriend and he is
more like, you could write it like, Stevie has started going out with a new boyfriend. He's really kind and...
That's difficult.
Right?
Difficult to do that.
Difficult to do. It's really difficult to do. He's really kind. They go on a lot of adventures together and he really loves, that you write it like that. So you might say like, Tessa Coates has been cast in the new Game of Thrones prequel. She is playing a warrior princess who makes a number of wisecracks and has a bow and arrow.
For example.
She will be appearing at Comic-Con later this year.
Yes.
Her costume is fantastic. You write it like that.
Yes.
Or if it's like, you want a car, it's like, you commit to it. You don't just be like, maybe a car, ? It's got to be like, Tessa Coates has bought a Mercedes-Benz 300-litre engine.
I don't even know what that is.
In blue. I don't think you can have a 300-litre engine. I think that would weigh the car down. You can't just be like, Tessa Coates has bought a car. You're like, okay, well, it could be a toy car. You've got to be like, this is specifically what I want. And you have to have the bravery to write it in the present tense and write it down. Because if you aren't brave enough to write it, you aren't brave enough to go out and get it. And that's really important.
Woo.
Wow. Hello, the number one motivational speaker under 40. Hello. Here I come for your place. Okay, right. A second O. Obstacle. What is the thing that is standing in your way?
Myself.
Yourself, exactly. Of course it's yourself, but specifically what? In you.
Oh, sorry.
What is specific?
My arm.
Your own arm. Like, what is... My ugly arm. What is specifically standing in your way, and what can you do to get rid of that feeling? And if it's like, I want a car, what's the obstacle? Money. Be like, okay, specifically how much money do I need? How can I get that money? What's my plan? You know, if it's like, I want a boyfriend, and you write something sad, like the obstacle is like, I'm too ugly. You're like, right, there's so much unpacking to be done there. You know, to work on, to like not
get fit.
And it's not just, get more attractive, for God's sake. No, it's about being like, okay, well, that's embarrassing to write that down.
If you feel like that, then you need to not feel like that anymore, because you need to remove that obstacle in that way, obviously, rather than being like, I'll take my glasses off and take my ponytail down.
And that'll do it.
Not a thing.
That's the thing, like some of the obstacles are in front of you and some of the obstacles are inside you. And so you have to be like, is this one in front of me or inside me? And do I just need to, if it's like a promotion, what's standing in the way? I haven't hit this target or something this year. Great, go and hit that target. If it's like, I'm not any good at my job and who would give me a promotion and I'm a little dog worm, that one's inside you.
That's very much inside you. The dog worm is inside you.
Your dog worm is inside you. And then like P is the plan of like, how are you going to overcome those obstacles? And all of this manifesting is useless if you don't hit plan, or specifically, maybe it should go whoop ass, and it has an A at the end for action, and then success. So you've got to be like, what's the plan? And then I'm actually taking this action and being like, what am I actually putting in place? You know, because you can write all this down till the cows come home. I can write Tessa Coates is cast in Game of Thrones prequel, but if I don't then write down the plan, which is like, find out who's casting the Game of Thrones prequel.
Tell someone I want to be in it.
Like, you can't just write that in your little diary and hide it up the chimney. You've got to be like, okay, now I have to be brave and go out in the world and be like, if I want this enough to hide it up the chimney, I've got to want it enough to actually go out and get it, and like go out and do the things rather than just like dreaming. It's about basically showing yourself what you truly want, and therefore what you are capable of going out into the world and getting.
Yes, and being able to make, because I think that's the most terrifying thing, isn't it? Making your dreams a reality, because when they're dreams, then you're the most successful in the whole world, because it hasn't happened. But what if it happens?
Yeah. And you're still an unhappy man, and then you have to use your billions to go to space. So, like,
exactly.
So it's got to be like things you want. And then just to explain what vibrations mean, raising your vibrations literally means buck up your ideas. It literally means like, stop thinking so negatively and just like start thinking more positively. It means like, are you completely down in dumps and furious and still wearing your pajamas, or could you go and have a shower and commit to the day a bit more and try a little bit harder? It's literally what raise your vibrations mean.
I see. It's a much nicer way of saying it, but still
raise your vibrations, it sounds crazy. And then when people say to you like, you've got to be vibrating at the frequency of the universe, that's the point that you're like, oh my God, I'm checked out.
Hang on, as well, it's like, so the universe is vibrating in a way that means I have to have a shower.
Yeah, exactly. It just means like, show up for yourself today. Yeah. You know, it means like, if your mindset is like, I'm not good enough, it's just like, be like, I am good enough actually. Be like, what, you know?
Yes. It's that thing of like, I'm not going to do anything today because I feel like shit. It's like, or you could send one email or do one thing towards your overall goal, just one, and
just raise that vibration.
Then you're vibrating the same as Jupiter.
Exactly. Raise that frequency by one, and then a planet billions of light years away will get involved in your personal life. Listen, who's to say it wouldn't? But it is all about being like, who's to say it won't? Did I meet Casper? Yes. Jupiter sent him to me. Thank you. Was it wrong? Yes, because I wasn't specific. And the thing that they say is most helpful for raising your vibrations, bucking up your ideas, is to name a thing that you're grateful for in the area that you are manifesting. So if it's like, I don't have any money, maybe it's like, okay, but I do have at least somewhere to sleep tonight, or I do have this, or I am grateful for something, and be like, okay,
I can pick up extra shifts. There is a possibility of me getting more money, even if
I do at least have the space of this, like, and I'm grateful for this, and like, okay, things aren't that bad. They're bad, but okay.
All trying to train you. This is just brain training, isn't it? It's all just trying to train your brain into a positive way. Because the problem is the whole issue of being human is we are in our own way. Like, to the most basic level, because we're aware of like our own mortality, it just has screwed us right from the moment that we like became conscious. So we have to remove that as much as possible and keep doing it and keep reminding ourselves, because our brain is just constantly getting in the way and going, you can't do that, really, because that's lame. And manifesting seems to be, from what you're saying, is that like, it's just helping us get rid of that voice so we can reach our full potential.
Exactly. Fulfill your true potential. And why not? You know?
Why not,
You've
mate?
got one life. You might as well vibrate at your true potential.
Oh, have a vibrate,
For
pal.
God's sake. So I hope that was helpful.
I feel quite good about that.
Oh, do
I feel
you?
like, yeah, because I genuinely feel like as awful as it is to say things in the present tense, it doesn't half help motivate you. Because you go like, oh, I want to say that sentence for real.
For real.
So it makes you kind of, yeah, definitely.
Right? And when you hear that bit about the writing in the present tense, you're like, okay, that's not a thing I ever considered doing. That feels crazy. But it's like just putting that confidence out there and being like, okay, that's what it looks like written down. Can I go and do it? And if at the very least I stop anybody paying any money to get in any kind of manifestation cult, that's all.
Don't do that.
Do not do it.
That's part of the whoop. That's like, I don't know.
Whoop, yeah.
The underline
it's
means don't do it.
Whoop ass. The plan, action, and then it wasn't success at the end. It was stop getting in a cult.
Stop getting in a cult if you've already started. Very important.
Oh no, there can be two S's in whoop ass. Yes.
Of course. I mean, there is two S's in whoop ass, yeah.
But I only gave one for success, but success and then stop.
So that was actually whoop as, and now it's whoop ass. So it's way better.
Here we go, baby. I'm taking her off that number one spot.
As ever, Tessa, your suggestion was excellent and very helpful and really fun.
Thank you for eating what I brought to the table. Thank you.
I loved it. I loved that nourishing mind meal. Please do get in touch with us if there's something that we haven't tackled as an episode and you would like to hear it.
Do bring something to the table for us.
Bring something to our table. It's an open table. It's a buffet. And we are at Nobody Panic Pod on Twitter, so you can tweet us or DM us. You can email us on nobodypanicpodcast@gmail.com.
Say it with confidence.
You can email us at nobodypanicpodcast@gmail.com. Please do. And just have a really good week. Get some good stuff going in your brain. Do some present tense goal setting. I think a lot of people are constantly just feeling a little bit like unfocused all the time. Well, let's refocus. You can call it manifesting, if you like.
Or don't. Just be like, but get that stuff written down and then be like, okay, if I've got one wish, what actually is it? What is my truest?
What is it?
What is my true wish?
My wish is to go and eat a yoghurt right now. Stevie Martin is eating a yoghurt.
Stevie Martin is eating a yogurt.
Podcast record.
Well
Goodbye.
done.
Goodbye,
everyone.
everybody.
Goodbye. Venmo me $75. Okay.
Having football down to a science starts with having sleep down to a science. Because the better you sleep, the better you show up on game day. That's why NFL players rely on the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It senses their movement and automatically adjusts to keep them effortlessly comfortable. And it tracks vital sleep metrics like average heart rate and average breath rate, so they know exactly how well they slept. It tackles the science. All they have to do is sleep. It's the biggest sale of the year where all smart beds are on sale. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, only for a limited time. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL.